What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Hollywood Already Did It, your weekly movie podcast for things that have been rebooted, remade, adapted, sequelized, or otherwise unoriginal and not new. As always, I'm your host, Blake Schultz, and with me, as always, is Terrence Tatum.
Hello, everyone.
And we have two very special guests, Greg Hahn, an animation and writer for Sonic Boom and Unikitty.
Hey, how's it going?
And Matt Acevedo.
Close. Acevedo.
I even asked before. He joins us from the Hit Points podcast, as well as Hyper RPG and Mass Effect Adventum.
Yep.
And this is President's Day weekend, so we are talking about Sonic the Hedgehog, a movie that has exceeded as many expectations as it could, both in quality and box office and fan response, even.
Yeah.
From
Certainly.
a troubled history of something that looks like a Blumhouse production throwaway.
It's been a roller coaster, guys.
That version of it was the Fantasy Island, what you wish for, it'll be bastardized.
Yeah.
And then we got a
I think more of an Island of Dr. Moreau would be more appropriate. That original Sonic was pretty freakish.
Well, that might have been the better thing for Blumhouse to adapt.
I'll never forget the teaser logo, the poster with just the shadow of that Sonic standing there.
And we were all like, he's very muscular.
I always thought the weird one was that one that was a weird angle right from Sonic's taint.
It was
just his legs.
Yeah.
They were really
the legs were
unusually
very long.
Yeah.
I was like, what scale is this?
I feel like we could do an entire episode on just how they started marketing this movie, being like, it's for kids. Check out this crotch shot. Do your children love Gangster's Paradise? Because we have it. They were fans of this franchise?
Yeah.
We thought it was a new property we thought of. So to get us all started, what did everybody think of the movie? Whoever would like to jump right on in.
Guess first.
Okay, I'll start it out. I'm going to be pretty diplomatic as I'm part of the Sonic community, and so I want to keep things, pretty cool with everybody. I don't want to upset anybody. For the most part, I think there is a lot of great things to say about the Sonic movie. There's some great action sequences, some great Quicksilver style, slow-mo action moments. I think Sonic, the new character design, looks amazing on the screen. I think it's super expressive. It's great. And there's a lot of really big laughs from, Jim Carrey and Ben Schwartz and the woman who played his wife's sister, the sister-in-law character.
She's been popping up in a lot.
She was especially funny.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of really great stuff in the middle of the Sonic. There's a lot of great stuff going on in the Sonic movie.
Yeah.
It does take a minute to get going. I will say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if I had to say my biggest, I'm being diplomatic, guys. My biggest issue with the movie is the kind of the premise to start with, the Hollywood cliche of take a character that everybody likes and knows, and now they're here in the real world.
Fish out of water.
Fish out of water here. Let's do half live action. That's, if it were me, that's not how I would want my Sonic movie. But all things considered, considering that's probably the Hollywood mandate on all right, guys, this is the movie we want to make. Now make it. I think it turned out pretty great.
Yeah. I actually really, really liked it. But I agree with you where in terms of the plot, and this has been done over and over again. This is nothing new. The road trip formula is I've seen better versions of it. However, I just find that it was extremely charming, and I thought that they had a lot. It's definitely a movie for kids, and I really appreciate it for that sense. There was something about, even though the road trip thing's been done before, I liked seeing. I liked how James Marsden. I liked Sonic. I thought they did a really good job with it. So even though it's been done before, it was just so charming and fun, and all the little nods to the game. I really appreciate it. I was going to my girlfriend. I was like, oh my gosh, the Green Hill Zone. That's the name of the first level. It was he got hit. Rings everywhere. And I would tell her all the secrets. So
it's amazing how often I'm just oh my god, they did something that I remember. Even one of the really, really small ones, and I don't know if it was on purpose or not. He uses one of the rings to teleport, and for a minute, it's this big downhill street. And I very much was like, oh, that's the end of City Escape in Sonic Adventure 2.
That's what I thought.
This downhill moment. I was like, that's either a great accident or someone was really clever.
Yeah, there's a lot of fun fan service stuff. You know, he eats chili dogs.
The second I heard him say chili dogs, I smiled from ear to ear. I was like, oh, yes, my cartoon days are back.
There's an
This is great.
appearance of Sonic
Yeah.
in there.
That was crazy. I really was not expecting that.
Yeah, and then some little musical stuff that like alluded to
Yeah.
the classic game. So like some really fun.
I was constantly on
Easter
the
eggs.
lookout for those too. Like my ear was open, and I thought we were gonna get a little more music, but I really appreciated the nods to it. You know. Yeah.
Look, I thought this movie was going to be along the lines of Alvin and Chipmunk style of kids movie, and that's kind of who the audience is going for. But I think because we are all older and we grew up with Sonic in some form or another, that they were like, all right, there's enough in here that they're like, all right, cool, you'll like this. You'll like this. And it got me. Just opening up with the Sega logo.
Oh
this,
my
I was
gosh.
like, are you kidding
All
me
I want
right
to talk
now?
about is the Sega.
Oh my gosh.
The Sega logo was really impressive.
And
Yeah,
it really
man.
made me want to get video game movies right and
Yes.
like box office successful more often because they showed so many little clips.
It was their Marvel intro.
And
Yeah.
I was going to
was,
say,
it
it had
was.
that same effect. And I feel like a lot of studios are kind of chasing that ghost of like,
Right.
we're going to show them all of our properties. And the reality is not many companies have quite the same stable
Right.
as Marvel or Sega or Nintendo or
Yeah.
like even PlayStation or Microsoft. And when they do it right like that, and you just get this, even just watching the evolution of Sonic in his own little box,
Yeah.
next to all of
Like
these
Battle
other.
Adventure
Yeah.
Sonic.
I
the
suddenly was
Sonic
like,
3,
I want a
like-
Ristar movie. He's
Yeah.
right there.
How cool is it that Golden Axe was right,
Right.
next
I
to
know,
Sonic?
I know.
Yeah.
Yes.
I honestly got a little choked up because I wasn't like for some reason I wasn't expecting it, even though it makes so much. And of course they would have that,
I was
but I
really-
wasn't expecting it. It just kind of blindsided me, and I was like, it's like, oh my
It
gosh.
put everybody in a good mood. I was next to my
Immediately,
roommate Zane,
yeah.
who's also been on the show, and like right when that happened, he like looked at me because he knows I'm a huge gamer and was like, "That's awesome." And I was like, "It is awesome," and now I'm just ready
in.
to do this.
Yeah.
And from then on, I kind of kept doing the same thing that Terrence did, where I just had to keep reminding myself that I wasn't going to get an animated movie like Spider-Verse that
Right.
really is like
An
a
adult.
mature children's movie. And I was very prepared to be like, this is going to be, I've wanted this for so long, and I'm going to get this Alvin and the Chipmunks hybrid thing. And this was really good. And I thought, I agree, like it took a while to get going, and we had to do a lot of the like fish out of water. And even for Sonic, like living on Earth so long, he still was like, I don't know what this is and what that is and what this is. And
Yeah.
those things I'm usually like, we can
can stop,
speed
yeah.
that up. We can do 1 or 2 bits.
Gotta
and
go
then-
faster.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
But like the moments they got going, like once Robotnik showed up, although I did laugh in his intro when they're like, we have no other choice. My same roommate Zane looked at me and he was like, they just listed like 9 other choices. They don't need to bring in Robotnik. And I was like, damn it, well. But Jim Carrey has not been that Jim Carrey
For
in
a while.
decades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really would like. I love Jim Carrey. It's a shame that he keeps saying stupid things. But
It's funny because my thing with Jim Carrey in this movie, I think he's great. He's full on Jim Carrey. It's unfortunate that a part of my hang up was it's not the Robotnik that I expect or even visually see until the end.
Yeah,
but it's
I mean,
just
I
like-
guess that's another issue I have is that, like, you know, he does ultimately get there. You see it in the trailer, so it's not even a spoiler right now.
Yeah,
to
it's like
say,
the first
to
image
say-
they showed.
The first thing they wanted to show you was was what Robotnik looks like in the movie, and it's not what he looks like in the movie.
Right.
It's what he looks like at the very
Very-
end of the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
It's almost as if they knew what we wanted to see, but decided they're saving it for a sequel.
Right.
Right.
We're gonna make this movie. Next time, maybe we'll make the
Well,
movie you guys really expect.
That's
Right.
what
Yeah.
for me. That was like it was exactly that. It's this whole movie. It felt like just a setup, and the next
jump-off
movie
point.
is going to be a Sonic like adventure movie, like a Sonic movie.
it had the Power Rangers. What was that? 2017.
Yes.
Yes, the
It
legendary
had that
one.
problem where I felt like it was a pilot,
Yes.
and I really don't like it when movies assume they're gonna get a sequel. Alita Battle Angel kind of did the same thing, where at the end she like points skyward, and we cast Ed Norton as the
Norton's up
big
there.
villain who
Yeah.
gets 2 minutes of screen time, and you don't stunt cast Ed Norton to not assume you're getting another movie. We're probably not gonna get another movie. And so part of me was like, don't assume that this is gonna go $100 million worldwide, Sega. Like, just hit
I think
hard.
it's gonna do all right though.
Yeah,
I
I mean,
Yeah.
it's well on its way
going.
right now. I
turning
think a
out
sequel is a
roses.
good
Yeah.
a good bet.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was, and that's where I loved about this movie was everything they gave me. I liked so much. I liked Robotnik and I liked Sonic. Right, I was like, I can follow this now. And where I think they were smart is the kids who were my age when I played the Sega Genesis, and then I got to grow up with him in the games. And when I got to Sonic Adventure 2, I was like ready for a more mature, interesting story. And then when we got to 2006, I was ready to move on.
So you're hoping they're gonna go like the Harry Potter route on this in
Yeah.
the film franchise.
I was like-
we'll start out with a young Sonic
Chris
film,
Columbus
but
young
the
one.
children will age along with the franchise, and by the
Right.
end
Yeah.
we'll have a dark, shadowy,
Yes.
Sonic 5 movie.
I would love
you
that.
know.
And then we get an R-rated Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Give him
Have
an
a
AK.
gun.
Yeah, basically
Everyone.
Deadpool, but with
was-
Shadow. I love it.
There were some people online who were like, why isn't this for the 30-year-olds? I was like, because the last time we tried to do that, we gave Shadow a gun, and it wasn't good.
And he was trying to kill the president
Yeah, there was a...
That was no.
with multiple endings.
I love the adventure series, and I love Heroes, and that's what I was like, this is different.
Yeah. You know what I did love is that the power of friendship came through. Like most Sonic, it's like
Yeah.
the power of friendship made him stronger.
Never leave your hometown.
Yeah,
If you're in the Midwest, stay there.
that's right.
yeah, I
San
think,
Francisco will spit you out.
I think the underlying morality of this movie is the big charm to it. Like
Yeah.
you get that, and you kind of build everything around that. Works for both adults and kids. Kids get something to gravitate towards. Like, oh, I can get the bare bones what I'm supposed to get out of this, and adults are like, oh, that is adorable. I
I
like
did
my
have
kid
some
learning
big
that.
belly laughs, and like
I
the
did
action
too.
scene on the highway, I was like, this is
When
awesome.
he finally spin dashed, I was like, yeah.
The robot he fights that like breaks down round for round. It was spoilers I get for the Sonic movie. If that's
If you
Yeah,
Yeah.
like,
if
sure.
you're
if you haven't seen it yet,
Right. If you haven't
unlike
seen the
the rest
trailer.
of the world,
Right.
No, yeah, no.
when he fights that bot that just keeps breaking down one by one, I was like, this is very 16-bit Sonic the
Yeah.
Hedgehog. It's gonna break and then something's gonna get out and run away. And that whole process, I just adored.
Me
Yeah.
too.
Very
We're
cool.
fast on the highway. We're fighting it the way Sonic fights.
Yeah.
I felt the way I felt when we got past the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, and I really felt like we were moving the way Spider-Man moves. And I like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies, but he's stiff.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Or even in Spider-Verse, when you're like, this is how like he
fluid,
was in the
moving,
comics.
yeah.
He's
Yeah.
moving. He's creepy. It's great.
I thought the plot point of like why he didn't just run to San Francisco was like, I'm like, okay. I had to dumb myself down. I
Can't
was
follow
like, okay.
directions. I don't know.
Yeah, he went to
was
the
kinda-
Pacific Ocean, but like he could read. I don't know, but it's fine.
I did buy that because if he was living there and the guy was just like, go west, like if you told me they make movies in Hollywood and I was 8 and I lived in Chicago and I was like, I'll go west, I might end up in like Sacramento.
That's a good point.
Like, so
Yeah.
I did kind of buy that he ran back and was like, okay. So I was in the water and realized that I don't know where I'm going. So
Yeah.
why don't you help me out? I was
Yeah.
like, that's also a very good way because we would have kind of been like, why isn't he just running there? Like, just get your son.
Yeah, I mean, there is the weird thing where even though that action sequence on the highway is great, prior to it, there's a long stretch of Sonic sitting in the passenger seat of a car, which just feels so
Exactly.
wrong.
Yeah, I
it's-
felt the same way.
Yeah, he's either in a car or he's sitting at a bar. Like, so a good hour of the film is just a car and a bar, which
Yeah.
if your character's lead thing is to run fast, you probably want to get
Well,
him
I
out of
always
those
think
situations.
speed characters are a little difficult. The Flash kind of has the same problem where I'm like, every problem you have can be solved because time is meaningless to you.
Yeah.
Just go quickly and get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of why I'm like Quicksilver had to die in Age of Ultron because if they were doing the Infinity Gauntlet
He's
scene
too
on Jupiter,
OP,
on Thanos' planet, the moon of Jupiter, that I now cannot think of the name of for some reason.
My mind went to Scarro, but that's Doctor Who.
Yeah, I was like, well, it doesn't matter. The planet Thanos is from, and they're pulling off the gauntlet. I was like, Quicksilver would have just run and taken it off, and
Right.
it
Yeah.
would have been done.
Yeah.
That movie would have been over
And
immediately.
and a part of me is okay. Like I get it. If you're a Sonic fan and you want to see true Sonic stuff, it's going to annoy you. But I get that if you're establishing a relationship between him, the human can't run that fast, so you have to kind of neuter Sonic for at least a little bit. So
well, I mean, even in Sonic 2, how many times did you just leave Tails in that?
All the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
That was the first multiplayer game where I was like, why would I have you play with me?
You know, I did feel, even though, like, you know, like I said, we've seen this before and stuff, but I really felt when Sonic was by himself on the baseball field and he's like, I'm all alone. I'm like, oh, Sonic, my friend.
That was heartbreaking.
You feel for him.
I
You
feel
really
it,
do.
yeah.
And that was the other good thing about the movie. The emotional beats were emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never was like, this is really hokey. Like when he's doing the therapy by himself and when he's on the baseball diamond and even when he gets mad that James Marsden is leaving, I was like, these are all very, like, good for Ben Schwartz. This is really good. And because they fixed those monster eyes, like that's
he emotes
the
much
window to the
cleaner.
soul, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But let's talk more about the Sonic character because is the adaptation podcast, and I think this one's an interesting one to do because while there are so many Easter eggs, it clearly isn't a one-to-one of the game, any of the games, because there's my nostalgia that's dun 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 dun, and then there's people younger than me that's Crush 40 doing Live and Let Die and all that stuff.
Crush 40
which I love.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's so trashy and I love it.
And there's even younger people who like a fist bump by Who Was Stank.
Right. Yeah, it's the movie. And then Gangster's Paradise is very because that was the Venn diagram for all three of them. So I guess really then, do you guys think they got this character right? And like, what does that mean to you? How do they have to do that?
I think they definitely got Sonic the character right. I mean, that's one thing I think it's undoubted because he's got the attitude and he's cool and he's fun and he's fast and he really encapsulates what you want from Sonic the Hedgehog the character. I don't think there's anything missing there.
Yeah.
I think Ben Schwartz is a great.
He's a great voice actor.
I think he did a great job as the voice too, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like they went with like I like the younger Sonic. It felt more like Sonic, like not the one where he's the freedom fighter and it's like really dark and gritty. Like he felt like at the same time it was the zany one that like he felt like that Sonic because in the older like Sonic X and like even Battle Adventure he's a little older. So I like the younger version of him. It's like he's literally kind of
when he's wearing the soap shoes and grinding and hitting on Princess Sally.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think Sonic is a character that can, because he is snarky and has a bit of an attitude, he could go too much that way and you kind of start becoming annoying. And I think it's they hit the perfect spot of like, all right, he's still charming and you realize, oh, he's a child. Some of this is just him growing up and going through the growing pains, and it works. I think it works.
Yeah.
I completely agree, and I was a huge fan of Sonic. I was a Nintendo kid, but I also had a Genesis. I was one of those assholes.
Ditto.
I was like both.
I had to go to an uncle's house to play.
Right.
But I always wanted to go there,
Yeah, I remember buying the game. When I was like 3, my mom sent me the photo this weekend. Sonic the Hedgehog was at the mall, like the big mascot. And we went, and he was like I got scared. He was too big. And my mom was like, if you don't do this, you're going to be mad. And I'm so glad I did it. But I read the Sonic the Hedgehog Archie comic was the first comic book I bought.
Yeah, man.
I loved that cartoon. I had the Burger King toys. Those were all great.
Yep.
And I really felt like, you're absolutely right, Matt. This was the younger, like, kids cartoon, 1991 Sonic that was kind of
Adventures
Sega's.
of Sonic the
The
Hedgehog.
Adventures of Sonic and Sonic the Hedgehog, the Italian one, existed around the same time.
Yeah.
When the Italian one was on Saturday and it was a little bit more adult Sonic.
That's right.
This feels more like the Adventures of Sonic.
Yeah.
With a great cliffhanger that we never got resolved.
Yeah, it just ended. Yeah, it just ended.
And I loved both of those
Me
shows
too,
for different reasons.
Right.
But, like, they were great.
Yeah.
And I kind of like that we're starting younger. I don't really want to dive into the Sonic Adventure Sonic and deal with these, like, quote-unquote headier themes that they get into. I like kind of getting my Bart Simpson Sonic that was Sega's whole thing in the beginning, was just like, let's do what Nintendo does, and we'll make a character with attitude, and it'll be awesome. And it was.
Yeah.
And I think when you do a movie like this, similar to kind of what Pokemon did, where you're like, there's just so much source material, and the story is kind of thin, let's go left. You get an opportunity to really get the character right, and similar to how, like, the Marvel movies do it, where it's, I don't care if it's not a one-to-one, if they have that spirit of what made that character resonate
It works.
for this long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's what you got to do. And Sonic is kind of easy but kind of tough because you don't really know who to aim at first. Because I think if they were like, it's going to be Sonic versus Shadow, and there's Chaos Emeralds, and Gun is here.
No, that's introducing too many elements, right?
So
you
much.
gotta earn up to that.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
now they can do it because
yeah.
my big theory is we're gonna go back to Sonic's world for Sonic 2 and Tails, Chaos Emerald's real Robotnik, Sonic 3 will be Knuckles and the Master Emerald, and then there's gonna be a call to action to come back to Earth, and they will have made Shadow while trying to get Sonic back, and that'll be the we have to get back to Earth.
I love it. I want that so bad.
But they don't let me make Sonic movies. But if you're listening, Paramount Pictures,
Where do you think James Marsden fits in? Because do you think that if he goes on this journey, is he gonna have just a cameo in the beginning? It's like, all right, see ya. And
I think we leave him until 4, and he's the radio back that's we need you back here. They're what they're doing is crazy.
yeah.
And you could even kind of change it a bit and make his grandfather the guy who wanted the ultimate life form and connected that instead of Robotnik, and you could do a lot with it.
That's dope.
But I'm we can now just expand this world so much.
Did anyone else feel? I thought I laughed out loud when James Marsden was talking to his wife or girlfriend,
His wife.
his wife.
Yeah.
That's right. Right. Because this is why I laughed. Because the sister, they get off the phone, and I'm like, oh, they're a normal couple. And then the sister's like, it sounds like a divorce. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
She was in a different movie, and I loved
And I
it.
loved it. I loved
Yeah.
everything.
I loved it.
She told the kid to put on the Fitbit. I was like, I am losing it right now.
Yeah.
My steps in.
I was like, oh, this seemed like a happy couple. I
She
don't
just
really
walked off like a boss and
Yeah,
onto
it's
the
like it
set
right
and was
on-
like, what if I cranked this up? I loved it. So in terms of the adaptation, why do you guys think this character has lasted this long? Because it's not a brand that's ever really died down. It has Sonic Boom's existed and
Kind of
Sonic
the
X and a
Turtles.
game
They've
every time.
just always been around. The Turtles and Sonic have been some of those products that you're always somewhere unconscious. Whether it's a new cartoon, I don't know why. I think our age group grew up with it and loved it, and then we have subsequently always
Not grown up.
Well, we're the first age
true.
group where they say when we were kids, they say you're going to grow out of this, you're going to grow out of this, and we never have, and we stuck with it, and then we've passed it on to whoever our nephews, kids, or whatever, and it is now continuing on. So there's this huge decades worth of many myriads of age groups that are I'm in Sonic. I've seen kids going in full dress of Sonic to see this, and I'm like, how the hell do you know who Sonic is? And
Yeah.
oh,
Well, I think also the real reason it's continued on is because Sega has one mascot, and it's Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
And as long as they're around, Sonic is going to be the guy that they keep pushing. They have other properties. We said in the beginning, there's Golden Axe and there's all the other great Sega properties, but this is the only one that it's their Mickey Mouse, right?
Yeah.
It's the mascot of their whole brand, and if they let Sonic the Hedgehog slip off, I think Sega slips off of, of everybody's minds because they don't have
especially since they're out of hardware.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I also think that part of it is that there are so many different sources of media of Sonic, so people might not have played the games but know of them, but might have watched the Saturday morning cartoons or watched the Sonic the anime or the OVA or there's so many
comics,
different the comics. It's a lot of media that kind of builds up upon this world. So I think there's just different opportunities for people to latch on.
Yeah, and I do think the Turtles is a good example because that's another one that keeps its themes very simple, but they persevere. It is we always are going to want stories of these 4 brothers are just finding a way to work together, and one of them's kind of a rogue, but he comes back, and I think both Nintendo and Sega did it right for different reasons because Nintendo made Mario and was he doesn't even need a personality. These games are going to be cool and fun, and he's going to become this silent Charlie Chaplin type comedy character, and all of our characters are going to look cool and be great. And Sega was what if he was just a little bad?
Yeah.
What if he was
There's
a
an
fun
edge to
What if
this
he was
person.
Dennis the Menace?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think especially younger boys and younger girls too like those characters. There's a catharsis of oh, I can be good, but I can also be a little Bart Simpson. I can be a little Dennis the Menace, and it's a fun escape from coming home from school where there are rules and not. It's almost what Spider-Man does, where you're and then he gets to put on the mask and be Spider-Man.
Yeah, and then he gets to throw out some snarky quips.
Yeah.
while he's
Then he gets
beating up
the
bad
redhead
guy.
and the
Yeah.
blonde and the brunette, and one day I will too. I won't. Oh. So it succeeds in the adaptation. Then we think the movie.
I think so.
As far as nailing Sonic, I think they 100% get that correct.
I think another reason why it was so I the hype for me was really it really got lived up because of the cast really committing to their press junkets. I know it's such a weird thing, but I feel like I've never seen Ben Schwartz he went to IGN and played with the speedrunner or something.
That was
awesome. He went to Polygon. They did 10-second questions and his passion for the franchise. It really came across in a way I haven't seen even Marvel people who are actors in Marvel. You know what I mean? I feel like he loves it so much, and it made me want to see it even more.
You have to assume that Sega and who is it? Sony produced it.
Paramount.
So, yeah,
I also kept thinking it was
I thought
Sony.
It was Sony for some reason. You have to imagine that Sega and Paramount really believed in this.
Yeah.
And they really wanted to keep pushing it out there.
Yeah.
Because Sega hasn't always done their due diligence when it comes to promoting all of the things they're producing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll just say that.
That Dreamcast
But-
2 did not sell well.
No. So this property, this film in particular, was something that they saw as worthwhile, and you know what? They're right. It's pretty great.
Especially after
it's really doing it.
After the the image change and after things have, the script change and stuff, that's I feel when they really doubled down, they really believed in it.
Well, there's an alternate universe where we're all sitting here complaining about this terrifying demon monster they put in. And I mean, even seeing the echidnas and teasing that Knuckles is out there somewhere and seeing Tails, if they had also gotten those wrong, I just kept while I was watching and being what would Knuckles and Tails have looked like with
they
those
mirrored,
small eyes? We would just, and then I think you
fuel.
really. Yes. The movie would have lived and died by Jim Carrey then, and I think we would be Jim Carrey was really good, but why?
Yeah.
And instead we're what an amazing commitment, because those are the things you need to get right. I mean, that was why I think everyone resonated to that Pokemon movie, it was just, there are my friends. That's the team that I had, and I literally would put them in my pocket and walk to school, and I'd have my cards, and now they're here, and Ryan Reynolds is their dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, you 100% feel safe, friendly, and I would like to hang out with this Sonic versus the one that they originally had. You're I don't want to be anywhere near this thing.
That thing was scary.
It's how I felt when I went to the mall when I was 3.
It was that Sonic, yes.
Yeah.
Just why? Why is that child taking so many steroids? So then, kind of the other part of the podcast that we usually like to do is, why is it relevant today? Why are we making it today? And I think with this movie especially, that's an interesting question, because maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm old. I feel like this character's peak popularity was the 90s.
Certainly.
No, that's accurate.
Yeah.
I don't think I wanted a dude in a turtle suit as Sonic, and
I
the
think-
animation was worse, but
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we're at this point where remakes. I mean, you're doing a podcast just about it, and this is one property that they haven't yet done. It was just time was a ticking, and it's about time that they stepped into the Sonic world and tried that one out, because I don't know what else is left that they haven't covered.
It is
Gargoyles.
Yeah, we're gonna do Gargoyles.
Where is Gargoyles?
It is amazing to me that in this, we've had so many video games movies that this is Sonic's first time at bat. That's fascinating to me.
It wouldn't shock me if they were maybe scared to do it because of how that Mario movie turned out in
Jesus.
1990.
Yeah.
Was it 4 or something?
4, yeah.
Yeah, it was well, after that, maybe let's just stay away.
Let's not.
Also, another cliffhanger we'll never get to see. I'm just kidding.
You don't know that. You never know. Illumination might pull out some Spider-Verse Mario movie, and he'll be there.
No, that'd be awful.
And they'll have a CGI version of Bob Hoskins.
Got a hologram
in there.
Hoskins in there.
Yeah.
Oh no, but I think I kind of said it earlier, where I was these themes are always prevalent. These power of friendship movies are always going to be relevant to kids, and I do wonder, similar to Bad Boys 3, which was in development hell for 17 years.
Yeah.
For all we know, there's been a Sonic script kicking around this town, like the Halo movie. And we'll get to it a little bit more, but we are finally starting to get these video game movies right. And it kind of started with Pokemon, and we're carrying it out now. So it is weird that we never tried it. And I wonder if part of that, too, is Sonic 1, 2, and 3, and then Knuckles were amazing and have lasted the test of time and were incredible. And then Sonic CD was okay. And then Sonic 3D Blast, no one really noticed because that's when Sega's solution to making a new system was Jenga. And instead of releasing a console, you put your 32X on top of your 3D on top of
I broke 2 Sega Genesises doing that.
Yeah,
Really?
I had a Sega CD. It was nuts. I had a Sega CD on top of 30. It was stupid. That's Sega. That's why you were out of the hardware business.
No, it's because there was a cheap DVD player in the PlayStation 2.
Yes. That is what did it.
That's so true.
Dominated. So I think that's a big part of it. I wonder if it was like, let's get the Sonic movie made. Oh, I don't know. Like, people are kind of like, on the brand right now. Yeah. And then even like, the Sega did stop making systems. And for a minute there, it was like, oh, but what now? The Dreamcast is gone, and what's going to happen to all these beloved properties?
Yeah.
And it was...
And they sold off parts to Nintendo, so Sega started showing up on Nintendo
the
stuff.
GameCube really did... And this is more for hit points, I think. But the GameCube really did become like the Dreamcast 2.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I loved that.
Yeah.
And now it has the same history where people are like, they're all great games.
Yeah, and they all got ported, and that's when I got introduced to Sonic Battle Adventure 2 and others. You know what I mean? Like, was the GameCube ports of it.
I was the same way, because I was like Nintendo and Sega in the beginning, and then it was N64, and I was like, nothing else matters.
Yeah. But even today, like, you know, their partnership with Nintendo has been keeping that franchise alive. I mean, it's on other platforms too, but I identify Sega with Nintendo personally now.
Yeah. Well, he's in Smash Brothers. And...
Exactly, you know?
Yeah,
so
the
Sonic,
Olympics,
Mario, Racing, Olympics. Yeah.
Racing's pretty fun, y'all.
Yeah.
It's actually very
It's one
fun.
of the only kart games that rivals Mario Kart, which usually I'm like, why even try? Mario Kart 8 Deluxe exists, but Sega Kart is fantastic.
Yeah.
Sonic Kart,
Sonic Team Racing.
Sonic Team
All-Star
Racing,
Racing,
thank
yeah.
you. So that, I think, is why, because we're not at its peak popularity. And normally, look at the Mario movie, and I think you're 100% right, because they threw that out at peak Mario popularity, and I was a child and loved it because I was an idiot.
Yeah. That was when I was eating up anything. I was like, this is great. They have this. Oh.
He's got the red hat on. That's who Mario
That's
is.
all I need. His name is Mario. That's
Why is
weird.
Toad a large man with a tiny head? It's supposed to be a tiny thing with a big head.
Yoshi just looks like a Jurassic Park
And
reject.
what movie is Dennis Hopper in? I don't understand what's happening.
And now
Luigi and Peach, get out of here.
Now it's free on YouTube.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, you can just type it in. The whole movie's there. I don't even think there's an ad before it.
That one's. It's just like a little bit of a nightmare, you know.
It's so weird. I love that it exists, though.
It's made by people who like just didn't understand Mario. That's what it felt. It felt like they didn't get at all what anybody would have wanted out of it.
It felt like they were trying to be turtles.
Yeah,
for sure. They saw the Ninja Turtles movie and they were like, we want to be gritty New York.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's not where Mario hangs out.
No. The Turtles get to do that because they had a dark comic that allowed for this to happen.
Exactly.
However, then that movie had the same thing where then parents were like, in the second one, they can't use their weapons.
No weapons.
I was like, all right, well, they'll be on their backs.
Yeah.
We'll solve a lot of problems. The other big, I think, challenge that this movie had was being a kid's movie for a general audience. And I think we're all in the same boat that, like, despite some hiccups, it overall succeeds in that.
Yeah.
What do you guys think that DNA has to look like to really be like, we did it?
I think one of the biggest studios that nail that all the time is Pixar. And I think a lot of it is just, you need to have some type of moral thread that adults are happy with and are happy with taking their kids to. And even if it's something small, they need to have, the adults need to be like, I resonate with that. I'm okay with taking my kids to be taught this by whatever version of this I'm showing to them on screen. And I think Sonic nails that with the friendship aspect.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that is one of the biggest DNAs of like that general audience to adult weight. And now sometimes Pixar mess up because those Cars movies are specifically made to sell cars.
Right.
And they're like, well, that's where you miss out on that mark. But I think more than often they're good at that.
I mean, here's a character that everyone knows, and then you give him this emotional POV where that you've been in, like, you know, like I wish I had, like, we've all been like, I feel so lonely. I wish I had like friends, you know, but like it's just something that we can all relate to and attach to, and that's universal. I think we've all felt lonely, all felt like, you know, like we didn't have friends, but they were around us, you know, and seeing him overcome that is so identifiable and so relatable that I felt that was there, and it's so Sonic, and I love it. I love it. Friendship gives us power, y'all, and I'm all for it.
It's funny because in so many movies, I'm like, God, I hate it when it just comes down to and we're buddies or the power of love. But when they do it right, like even Guardians of the Galaxy was like, the big theme of this movie is friendship. And I was like, God, normally I hate that, but this is pretty good.
You made this a fun ride, so I'm in.
Yeah, friendship has always kind of been, or at least in recent years, that's kind of been the theme of Sonic the Hedgehog. In general,
Yeah.
it's all, his friend group in the games and in the comics and on the shows is ever growing.
Yeah.
It's always there's always more. There's the stupid bee thing, and there's Vector, and there's Charmy the bee. I hate the bee. I'm sorry, I hate Charmy the bee. It's on record right now. I hate that stupid bee. But there's Vector, and there's Silver, and the world's always, the group's always ever expanding. And it's always become more and more about friendship. So to start with a theme like that just feels appropriate for Sonic.
And Sonic Forces, at the end of the game, spoiler for Sonic Forces, you have your own avatar, and Sonic holds hands with your avatar, and holding hands with his friend literally makes him faster. So
there we are.
Friendship is power.
That's right.
Right?
And Greg, you firsthand are like a writer who finds this balance for kids and adults. Did you see any of those challenges when you were writing these characters that we're talking about?
Yeah, well, when I worked on Sonic Boom, I mean, our mentality was always, and it always is when I write animation for kids, is to never talk down to the audience. I never kind of believed in doing that. I feel like there are a lot of shows where, even sometimes shows I work on where you get notes where they're like, lower the vocabulary a little bit. Can you scale back some of these words? And like kids won't get that joke. And thankfully on our show, we worked under our showrunner, Bill Freiberger, who has a background in network comedies. So he worked on The Simpsons, and he worked on Drawn Together, and he worked on Get a Life and Pee-wee's Playhouse and Cosby Show, and like all kinds of classic shows. And so his mentality was, he taught us like, just write funny stuff, and we, if we have to pare it back because maybe we went a little too adult in it, we pare it back. But funny is funny, and if a kid doesn't find a joke funny, normally they laugh anyway because kids are silly, and they can understand that there was humor intended. If you do a pratfall,
and typically context. Like the context makes the kid will laugh anyway, even if they don't quite understand
and if they don't understand it, more than likely there's a parent or an older sibling in the room with them who you want to enjoy watching this too. Like I never believed in the idea of like writing a kid show just for kids because it's never just for kids. There's other people who have to sit and watch this.
Yeah.
They're bringing you
That's
to this.
That's a really good point that I've never thought of, because I think we all grew up with cartoons that we can rewatch now and be like, oh, that's just pretty. Even The Simpsons, I watched when I was like 10, which you're probably not supposed to. And sometimes, and now they put it on Disney Plus because they are like, fuck it.
Yeah.
But it's interesting to see that shift, and hearing you say that, I'm like, oh yeah, because there were so many. Pinky and the Brain, the Animaniacs, Tiny Toons.
There's a joke, that joke in Animaniacs about fingerprints.
Oh, with
you're like, that joke,
whoa.
nobody would ever let anybody get away with that joke now. But it you know what? It's fine because a kid doesn't get why it's inappropriate, and therefore it's not really inappropriate.
Yeah, the movie, I keep going back to is like Who Framed Roger Rabbit is definitely the movie that when I was a kid I laughed at stuff and thought stuff was funny, and then I watched it as an adult and I was like, oh, I missed a lot of stuff that I had no business watching, but I was unaware to it as a kid, and it still worked as both a kid film and it worked even more as a LA noir adult film. And I was like, oh, this did both. Sweet.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing a big shift in the quality of video game based movies overall. And by a big shift, I mean Pokemon and Sonic were good.
And and Rampage made money too.
And Rampage made money, but I mean,
but quality wise,
yes.
I think Detective Pikachu had a problem. I'm just gonna throw this out there while we're talking about it. Good. I think again, I feel like it's almost a similar issue that I had with the Sonic movie in that I feel like they took something fundamental away from what Pokemon is. We set a movie in the town where Pokemon don't fight. I thought it was like, what, we're going to start with that? That was a big confusing thing for me.
I think it kind of
otherwise, I mean, the animation's great. The characters look great.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fun. There's a good emotional arc, some great voice acting, and some great acting. But like, it was like, but why are we setting it in the one place where Pokemon aren't supposed to fight?
We talked about this on our Detective Pikachu episode of the show.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if it's maybe you're always making something for somebody who's seeing it for the first time also, right? At least that's the studio's mentalities. It's what Nintendo does. It's always someone's first. So we're never going to make a super dark M-rated Legend of Zelda. We have to keep doing it kind of the same way. And I wondered if people who didn't know the franchise coming into like Michael Vick's biopic in animation form was too much.
That is what we got to. Yeah, because I mean, he's a Pokemon fan.
I love it so much.
I was not. So going in, I was appreciative of the way that they broke things down for me.
Yeah.
Because I was not aware of, like, I knew that it was a fighting game, but I don't know if I could have taken a movie.
Yeah,
I feel like it could have been.
I was like, well, they have a bond, and it's not bad that they're fighting. They want to do it, Terrence. We locked them in a ball, and then they do what we say because of love.
I thought it was just a way to like establish the world to people who who aren't familiar with it.
Yeah.
I like it because it's a lot to process, especially when they just have Pokemon everywhere.
Yeah.
So I think next movie you'll see. I think you'll see.
I
more
think
fighting.
that's another one that like they're about to crack down that door and be like, here's the Red and Blue movie and the Mewtwo prequel and that it's gonna
Team
get
Rocket
crazy.
movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Let's
Give me
do
that.
it.
I just want
Sell
that.
some Pokemon Slowpoke tales. Let's do this.
No.
Some Pokemon Silver reference.
That's right.
Ah, I was there. Do you think part of the shift we're seeing in quality is because we're starting to make the like family-friendly ones, where we've really been trying to do the Rampage and the Tomb
Prince of
Raiders
Persia,
and Doom
Assassin's
and Prince
Creed.
of Persia, and or is it just that we're trying to get the core of this right instead of we just recorded our Fantasy Island episode, but it might come out after this one. So however you're listening to this, we talked about like it's not really enough to just be like, look, it's the plane.
Right.
Yeah.
You also have to get the core right. So do you think the shift is it on easy mode to go for a wider family audience, or is it?
I mean, it's the right move. You don't
Yeah.
you don't do a Sonic movie for adults. That's silly. You gotta aim it at kids first, and then try to make it accessible to everybody who's going to be watching it.
I mean, I think the problem at the end of the day is that you're trying to adapt a video game, and the first priority of a video game is to be fun. So when you are making a movie that's for everyone, it's going to be fun. When you try to do something a little grittier, like Assassin's Creed or whatever, and like it's probably going to fall apart. Like.
And I've been saying it for a long time, and I love my Nintendo games, and I would love to have a great Majora's Mask and a great Mario movie and a great Metroid movie. Those characters don't talk.
Yeah.
And as soon as you put a voice in them, I have to hear a voice for the first time from a character who's been silent for 30 years of my life. And B, I feel like you risk making Link he's just going to be the like true blue Boy Scout hero, go get the thing.
Well, excuse me, princess. He's already had a voice before.
And what if in the Mario movie, it's just the "Hey, paisanos, it's me, Mario."
If Captain Lou could do
my
the voice,
God.
then we're
Oh,
all
those
in.
Mario, that
great.
Mario TV show was amazing.
Oh God.
Super Mario Brothers Super Show. So
Yeah.
yes, these characters have talked and it's been fine, but I wonder, and I'm the guy who's like, make it a silent horror movie with Metroid.
Well, I
then.
think
Get
you also-
crazy.
Dude, that could be sweet.
I think you also run the risk of like something like Tomb Raider, which was almost a 1-to-1, where you're like, all right, now you've taken too many things because this stuff doesn't translate into live action. Like you can't have Laura, who's this 98-pound soaking wet woman, jumping all the way across from one spot to another. It just doesn't work in film form. So I think sometimes things don't translate, and they're like, nope, it's in the video game. This is what they want to see. They take the wrong things.
That's part of the problem.
Not enough
too,
grunts
is-
in the Tomb Raider franchise.
Because conversely, one of the problems. One of the problems in the Tomb Raider game reboot was they have that big emotional moment when she kills somebody for the first time, but then you just mow people
start
down because
shooting
it's a
left and
video
right.
game, and I'm like, well, that would have worked really well in a movie, and not here. Like some things, like I think God of War could translate really well.
Yeah.
I think
Oh, that'd
something
be
like
sweet.
Twisted Metal.
I think God of War is coming soon, guys.
Yeah, I can see that.
They're working on that.
Corey
for
Barlog's just
sure.
been on Twitter screaming for it to be a Netflix
Do
show.
Metroid, but it's just the Mandalorian, and Samus finds a baby Metroid.
Yes.
sold.
I will watch that.
Done.
I'll write you a check right now. It will not cash.
Consider it done.
Right, whatever amount you'd like in this, it won't matter. Great. So we want more. I've already said what I want my roadmap to be, which is very video gamey, and I would love to get Princess Sally and the Archie comics in it, but I want some like
That won't happen.
Yeah,
I
that's
know.
that's not.
I want Robotnik manipulating Knuckles for the Master Emerald.
Yeah.
I also am kind of like do you do all the Chaos Emeralds after the Infinity Stones? Is that a little too... I gotta go get my 6 glowing rocks.
Little too reminiscent of the Marvel stuff. They might not want to feel like they're copying it exactly, even though they've obviously done it.
It's also
before.
like, we got 6 of those in 10 years. Doing it in one movie is a little like, we're here, and we're here, and we're here, and we're here, which might be fun.
I mean, Sonic can do that.
Yeah,
exactly.
Because of the speed, yeah.
Yeah, right. You can't just run. Yeah. I couldn't do it when I was Sonic, but some of those, it was very, very hard to get into those rings. Some of them are hard to find in Sonic 3. I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, I don't know what the answer is. I mean, because of that seems so similar. I mean, we know better, but
right. I mean, I think even me watching it would be like, yeah. Now he's gonna throw Tails off the cliff to get the Soul Stone. I know, but
Tails, you gotta die.
I'm actually really interested in what. So, spoiler alert for the movie, mid-credit sequence. We finally we see Tails shows up, says one line. Colleen O'Shaughnessy, who did the voice of Tails on Sonic Boom and a number of other things, she does the voice of Tails, which is really cool. And then, so you have to imagine that Sonic 2 is going to be something with Sonic and Tails.
Right.
But something that, in the Sonic 2 video game, we never... The game just starts. There's no real introduction to Tails and who he is and their relationship together. So that's going to be happening maybe for the first time. I don't know if they've ever touched on it in the comics or anything.
They
but
do a little bit, and that was also when video games came with instruction books that also were novels. So there was a bit of that in there too, of and something happened to Tails' mom, and Sonic's taking care of this kid, and I don't know that it also seems like they know each other. Tails pops up and is like, I hope I'm not too late to go get Sonic.
It's got to be Tails knows
of
word
Sonic,
because those echidnas wanted to find him, so everyone knows about Sonic's power,
Right, so he is probably I got to go get this person that I've heard about because he was a baby when he leaves.
Right.
So yeah, I just hope that it isn't all on Earth. I really
want
hope the sequel is go show me that awesome CG world.
I think my only fear is that I harken back to the Transformers series, and that the first one did that, and then it showed the Cybertron, and we've never spent on Bumblebee is probably the most time that we've spent on any Cybertron. And that was 6 films in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I want to just in a whole Cybertron film, and I feel like some studios are going to do that. I don't know if an audience can take all of this CGI world or all of this this computer generated world to tell a story. I think we all know that they can. I just don't know if the studios believe that they can.
Well, when we see the audience reaction again.
Yeah.
All I know is that in Sonic 2, I can't wait for the moment that Tails commandeers a plane and Sonic is on the wings, fighting.
That's the song I really want. That's my favorite
Yeah.
music in all of the Sonic games. Is that one zone where you're on the plane?
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good.
It's great. The box office for this has been amazing. There's clearly a want, a need. It's the 4-day weekend, but in its 3 days, it has cleared $57 million off of its presumably $96 million budget. It's currently projected at $64 million for the domestic weekend and $100 million worldwide.
Damn.
So this is
because I think originally they were saying $55 million for the weekend was the prediction.
Yeah.
So it's far exceeded
and
that
it
already.
started low, right? When it started on day one, they were we'll be happy with 20. And then, as we were coming up to it, it was 40 would be great.
Yeah.
We have dominated those. And kind of weird, entertainment news, they're not showing movies in China right now.
So this is about China.
Because of the virus. And they don't know when they're going to open up screen doors again, which is...
But China's going to love this.
They're going to love this.
It's
my point
it's
is, we did
Sega's
this without the second biggest market.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It has beat Pikachu and is now the best opening for a video game adaptation.
Yeah.
I also think this is a good timing because I don't have any kids, but kids have been hungry for a kids film because there's been nothing for them since Jumanji.
Well, this nails it,
since
right?
December, there's been no kids film. So this is the first thing, and they're oh yes, let's take it in droves, and I know this guy, I'm in.
Yeah, you have nostalgia for us.
Right.
You have a family-friendly audience, great word of mouth.
Yeah.
And really, people like a controversy. We had got to go see this design. And that was my big fear. I was they're going to go so hard to make the design, and the movie's going to open to 20 million. And we're going to have this whole narrative of it doesn't matter, and we're just going to get lame designs. However, now we might have a narrative of let's always listen to Twitter, which is also bad.
I hope they don't take the negative of let's always listen to what the masses say.
I think the Sonic fan Twitter's louder than most fan
Yeah.
That's true.
Being
You're
in the
in it.
middle
You
of
can-
it,
yeah.
I could tell you that they're rabid and loud and delightful, but also that they want their voice to be heard. But it wasn't just them though, right? It was like once the trailer came out, it was like everyone was going, this design has to change.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Yeah.
the new design, courtesy of my pal Tyson Hess, I know he
best.
kind of led the design team on that. It's killer. Though.
It is.
Yeah.
It's freaking killer.
I mean, Tyson is a genius animator. I love his work on Sonic Mania, and I love all of his custom prints at like conventions. They're so
Yeah,
good.
they got the
Super
right
talented
guy.
guy.
Yeah.
Like, go get the guy who saved your game franchise. Like,
exactly.
Sonic Mania was like, oh, this is what at least I
Same.
have been begging for.
Yeah.
That and Sonic Heroes 2, so we can do that next.
Yeah.
No one else
They can
wants
have it.
Sonic Heroes 2.
I love Sonic Heroes.
It's so good.
It's so
People
great.
hate it.
Yeah.
I think it's great. It is the same game 4 times.
Yes, it is. It
And I
is.
don't mind.
Yeah.
I think the only thing to ask is, do you think there's a fear of having that? Like right now, there's also the Birds of Prey narrative where people are like, they don't look as attractive as I wanted them to. And I'm like, well, we don't need to listen to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are we now in this like weird, like half the time the internet's right?
Right, because I
Half the
remember when the
time they're
trailer
wrong.
for like Ghostbusters, the all-female Ghostbusters came out. If you listen to them, the things that people were saying were about there being women in it. Like, there's nothing you can do about changing that. Like, they were vitriolic
That's
towards
also
that.
clearly
There's
like
nothing
different.
you can like. There's nothing you can fix about that. I don't want to listen to that.
Right.
yeah.
But I think if it's something where it's a design or something that you can actually change, like this was something. Granted, they were under the wire because this originally was going to be released earlier. That's something that could be changed.
Yeah.
There's nothing that can be. Most of the time, when these groups get rabid about something, it's about something that's like 2 months away from release, and there's
Right.
nothing they can really do about it.
Yeah, this had a good amount of timing, and I can't remember the original opening weekend.
I think it was supposed to be November. Or
It was
Yeah.
November.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was next to.
That's close to Frozen.
was-
Frozen.
Yes,
close
that's
to
what it
Frozen,
was.
yeah.
'Cause
Oh,
I
that
was
would've
like,
been bad.
They would have buried it. I
Yeah.
think this worked out so well because the
Yeah.
design is better. This was a great weekend to put the movie in. Like President's Day weekend is outside of the weekend where Alita and Happy Death Day 2 came out. Historically, a strong weekend for movies.
Valentine's Day, I literally saw this on Valentine's Day with my girlfriend.
Yeah, right. I saw it the day before because I'm single and
They
didn't
had
want
some,
to do
they had
that.
some
I saw the
clever
day before
posters
as
because
well.
there was a poster of Sonic with the rings, like put a ring on it on Valentine's
Yeah.
Day. I was like,
Yeah.
Oh, there
well
you go.
Exactly.
done, Sonic.
That's way better than look at my crotch.
That was the original.
Also Valentine's Day theme, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
Great. I mean, the rest of the box office weekend, for those curious, was Birds of Prey in second at 17 million, Fantasy Island at 14, and The Photograph at 13.
Yeah.
A good, strong weekend.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you guys want to do, or should we wrap and plug all of our shows and nonsense?
I don't know. I just loved it. I really want to see it again. I feel like we
guess-
nailed it on the head with our conversation, but I
agree.
am excited for a sequel.
I guess before we do all of that, I just want to go around. Does everybody have a favorite Sonic medium and like your favorite thing in it? I know for me it's the games and it's Sonic 2. I think that is a testament to side-scrolling
Yes.
platforming.
It's funny. My sweet spot of Sonic was the Sonic Knuckles era, but like I actively remember running home from school, dropping my bag down and watching Adventures of Sonic, and then waking up early Saturday morning to watch the Sonic. Like that was my. Because Urkel was big too, just little white voiced Sonic. I was like,
Yeah.
this is nuts. I'm hearing Urkel in
I
Sonic.
really
This is
thought he was
crazy.
going to have a cameo. I was like, Jamil White's going to show up.
Yeah, that was my era of Sonic for me.
Yeah, mine was Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog as well, and also, but like my gaming was actually Battle Adventure 2 was like my big one. That
Yeah.
like hooked me in. That and actually Sonic X. I loved Sonic X
X
so
was
much,
great.
and just Sonic for the whole platform, like since the beginning. The music is really something that like it always sticks with me, and I love all of it. I love the 8-bit music. I love the 16-bit music. I love the Sonic X theme song. That's what I listened to in my head when I ran miles as a kid. The music stayed with me for years. It's iconic.
Oh, it stayed. I have it on my phone now. Like,
Yeah.
even as far back as like the Sonic CD, that like 2D animated
Yeah.
intro with that song was a great treat on
I
the
can
Sonic Mega Collection.
verbatim
GameCube
sing
disc.
the theme song to the Saturday morning Sonic car. Like it just pops in my head immediately.
great.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, I was watching Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon show as a kid and playing those first 4 games, Sonic and Knuckles as well. I mean, I was playing those pretty religiously on my Sega Genesis. That was my jam, but I'm a little biased. I'm going to say my favorite Sonic thing is the Sonic Boom cartoon show. Of course, available on Hulu. So watch that.
It's a really funny show.
Thank you
it's
very
so
much.
funny.
And it hits that line, we were just talking about it right before you arrived, where there is adult humor. There are moments of with Amy's obsession with Sonic and some more fun jokes that you're like, that's really, they got that in there? And you go back to Tiny Adventures, you're like, well, of course they got that in there. All right, guys. Well, that's our show. Please leave us a review on iTunes, and you can follow the show at facebook.com/groups/Hollywood Already Did It. We're on Twitter at HollywoodADI and on Instagram at Hollywood Already Did It. I am at As Always Blake. I do another podcast called How Do You Figure about action figure collecting. Greg has been on it twice.
It's a good one. I'll do it again.
Please do.
Yeah, let's do Battle Beasts.
I'm ready. I'll do Battle Beasts. I will also do more Food Fighters episodes.
Please.
Because that was a great time.
Yeah.
I'm just going to let everybody go round robin. Terrence?
You can find me at Terrence Tatum on Twitter or Instagram. I am Terrence Tatum, and I also do a half split off from this show on YouTube for trailer reactions and reviews of movies that we don't talk about on here.
Yeah, you can find me at the Matt Acevedo on all platforms, and I got a couple podcasts as well. I have a Mass Effect Adventum podcast. It is a tabletop RPG in the world of Mass Effect that happens right after Mass Effect 2, but it's like our own adventure. Has a great cast. Check it out. Along with Hit Points, our video game podcast, and the Ultimate Fictional Character podcast, which is we pull 4 names out of a bucket, and it's not like death battles. It's more of a discussion of what makes these characters great and who we think is like the best of the characters. More of a celebration rather than who's stronger. So
and you just did a tabletop RPG for Sonic.
We did, with Andre Blacknerd as the GM, with me, Strawberry 17, Christina V, and Emily Rose Jacobson, and I got to play Sonic, and we got into some weird stuff. So check that out on YouTube.
It can get pretty weird.
Yeah. We dimension jumped and basically addressed all of Sonic's old flames. I'm like, well, they're gonna roleplay this.
There's a lot of them.
Nice. You can follow me on Twitter at It's Greg Hahn. If you like toys and action figures, follow me on Instagram at It's Greg's Toys. I also I'm co-producing this new podcast called the D Plus Cast, which is kind of a lens of it's a look at the world of streaming and movies and television, and it's kind of through the lens of Disney Plus. So check that out.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Instagram and Twitter, D Plus Cast, and it's available on all the places you find those things.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, that's our show, guys. You got to go fast. Yeah. This was great. Thank you both so much for coming on. I'm so happy.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I've been wanting to have both of you on for a while, and it worked out that we had both at the same time.
Heck yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, that was fun.
That was